Hello, my name is Dylan, but you can call me Buttercup. Welcome to Buttercup Yarn Art, a soft-spoken video journal where I play with yarn and share my thoughts. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave a comment to let me know. I am making progress on my GG Cardi by Knititude. As you can see, I have finished the sleeves. They are sisters, not twins, in color. The yarn I'm using is self-striping, and unless I get really obsessive about placement, it's just gonna do what it wants. And this is kind of supposed to be just a quick project, and getting that level of obsessive would make it significantly less quick. So I'm not doing that. I'm having a really good time knitting this up, and I am, as I say every single time, really excited to have this finished and ready to wear. It is so much fun. It's going so quickly. I did more than half of the second sleeve today alone, and it just flew right off the needles. And the bind off that I used, I'm actually really excited about this. The bind off that I used on the edge of the sleeves actually looks a lot like the edging on the collar. And like, it's not quite exactly the same, but they look so similar, and it makes me very happy. I really like that. So I am having a lot of fun working this up and seeing how the colors spit themselves out and onto the sweater. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I am looking forward to making progress on the body and, you know, getting that going, getting into the rhythm of that. So I'm having a really good time. And what I want to talk about today, the actual main topic that I want to talk about today, is Rhinebeck. About half, at least, of my Instagram feed is people going to Rhinebeck, at Rhinebeck, finishing up their Rhinebeck sweaters, and I am not there. I wound up not being able to go. This would have been my first, but by the time I decided to go, tickets for Saturday were already sold out, and I am too busy on Sundays to even consider it, really. So I'll have to wait till next year. And I can hear some of you thinking to yourselves, wait, hang on, Buttercup. You're allergic to wool. And Rhinebeck is the Sheep and Wool Festival. Why would you want to go to that? And to that I say, yes, I am allergic to wool. I am also allergic to making good decisions. I kind of worked it out in my head how to make it safe for me to go. I would start by getting some antihistamines, preferably a 12 or 24 hour version, and taking them, you know, before I get there so that they have time to kick in. Making sure that I'm wearing long sleeves and long pants to prevent any of the wool fiber or sheep dust or anything like that from getting on my skin. Also wearing gloves and a mask, of course, because, you know, we still require that in public. But it would also help prevent wool fibers from getting into my mouth and nose, and thereby my lungs. You know, and mostly I would be going, not necessarily for the sheep and the wool, but to see all of the things that people have made for Rhinebeck, all of people's wonderful Rhinebeck sweaters, to see, you know, all the vendors and exhibitors, get like fun goodies like stitch markers. I'm sure there are people selling stitch markers at Rhinebeck. You know, really just a community event. And I have to admit something. For years, I heard about people making Rhinebeck sweaters and going to Rhinebeck, and I did not know where Rhinebeck was. I thought it might be the name of the festival itself, or maybe it was the name of the town where it took place, which is actually the case, but I didn't connect the town with being in New York. I thought for a while that the town of Rhinebeck must be in Germany for some reason. I cannot tell you where I got that idea. I don't know. I just know that my brain saw Rhinebeck and decided that that was somewhere in Germany. And that therefore I would never go, no matter what kind of event it actually was, because it was in Germany, and when am I ever gonna go to Germany? I don't really do international travel, like, at all. So going to Germany would just be completely out of the question. But it's not in Germany. It's actually not super far from where I live. I'm not saying in what direction, though, or exactly how far. And that's a pretty big area. So, but it's not actually very far from where I live, and I was seriously considering going this year, but as I said, Saturday tickets were sold out, and I can't really do Sunday, so this year was out. But next year, I think I would like to make a very strong effort to go. You know, all precautions and everything taken to make sure that I don't break out in hives. That's the other thing. My wool allergy is not super severe. I don't need an EpiPen or anything like that. I just get hives and itch. And it's just uncomfortable. It's not life-threatening or anything like that, which is why I can take precautions and safely go. It's not like I'm walking into just a nest of death kind of thing. You know, I'm walking into somewhere that has the potential to make me really itchy, which isn't really, in my opinion, for me, that big of a downside when it comes to, you know, getting to see a lot of the knitting and yarn community in person. And I talked on my birthday about how I like going places and doing things by myself. And, just taking time to do these kinds of things for me, and going to conventions and festivals is one of those things that I like to do a lot. I like to go to PAX Unplugged, which is a tabletop gaming convention, and I like to go by myself. Mostly at conventions and festivals, I stick to the vendor halls and the shopping areas. Sometimes I go to panels and things, but that's not really the main source of interest for me. I like seeing, the goods that people make and bring to these types of events. I like, seeing the people who make these things, seeing all of the really interesting different angles from which these things can be approached. And I find, for me, I get the best impression of that in the vendor areas. And I was really sad last year that I couldn't go to any. And I'm limiting myself to one this year outside of the Renaissance Fair for my birthday. And the one that I've decided, I was going to switch my one to Rhinebeck, but as I mentioned, it didn't work out this year. So my one this year is going to be PAX Unplugged. I also sometimes like to go to New York Comic Con if there are things there that interest me. Not always. There are frequently, like most years, there's just nothing up my alley at Comic Con, so I don't go. But PAX Unplugged is almost entirely up my alley. Rhinebeck would be almost entirely up my alley. And I really am looking forward to being able to go to these places and walk around by myself and just see all the amazing human ways of interacting with these things that we love, and all of the ways that humans express their love of everything. It always makes me so happy. And another draw of Rhinebeck is actually the sheep, but not because I hold any particular love for sheep. I have a really interesting relationship with the smell of farm animals, whatever the farm animals are. That smell just makes me happy in a way that I can't really describe. The smell of a horse barn specifically is one that I'm extremely fond of. And that one I can trace exactly why. I used to ride horses, and it's associated with so many fond memories of that for me. And even just general farm animal smell makes me happy in a similar way. I really enjoy that smell. And I know most people think I'm crazy for liking that smell, but I do. And I wouldn't want to go up and, pet a sheep, although I have handled sheep before, for some classes in college, but I would just want to wander through the areas with the sheep to smell them and to, you know, get a lungful of that. I know that sounds really odd, but I am kind of odd, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, I hope I do manage to get to Rhinebeck next year. I'll have to see if I wind up making a Rhinebeck sweater. Are there rules for Rhinebeck sweaters? Is there like a guide or a rule set or something, or can you just knit or crochet or make a sweater and voila, it's a Rhinebeck sweater? I don't know how that works. I have a feeling you just make a sweater and voila, it's a Rhinebeck sweater, but I'm not sure. I can find out very easily, though. But I think that is everything. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.